This is Kristen at Radiance and Grit. You can check out my artwork at radianceandgrit.com. Today I just wanted to come on real quick and to talk about something called imagination, which is something that a lot of the times is misunderstood. For today, let's talk about imagination in the context of what it takes to rebuild after something like a chronic illness diagnosis, or a traumatic injury, or trauma of any sort. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this today is because one of the things that we tend to shut down first is imagination, especially in the face of something really scary. I mean, dragons like diabetes, type 1 or type 2, both really scary things. For me, the dragon that has challenged me the most and required the most imagination to overcome, interestingly, not type 1 diabetes. That's its own flock of dragons. But it was a really bad injury. I almost lost my right eye in 2013 for the second time in my life. And it always makes me think of imagination, because if I didn't allow myself to imagine a better future, to imagine a world where I still had my eye, and at the same time to also imagine a world where I didn't, because it was pretty close. I'm gonna spare you the gory details at the moment, but for now, let's just say the surgery was so tenuous to keep my eye together, the surgeon said, "Don't rub your eye too hard or it'll pop." Well, yay! Yeah. So it took me a while to regroup, because the injury came on suddenly, but at the same time it had been coming on for a long time. I just hadn't known it. And as I was recovering, I really had to question, what is my role in life? If I'm an artist, I was in the middle of graduate school, and if I'm an artist and I'm going to graduate school for art, and at the time I was also teaching art, like my whole life is art, what is there if the pain in my eye doesn't go away? What is there if I can't recover? What is there if suddenly one day I lose my eye? Because it could happen very fast. And adding on a layer that type 1 diabetes is also very hard on the eyes. So I had already been facing losing eyesight since I was 10 years old, but this injury that happened, it required a length and breadth of imagination to envision at the time anything but the pain and the despair. I couldn't read. I love to read. Reading is one of my favorite things. I couldn't draw. I couldn't paint. I really couldn't do anything, because the injury was severe enough that any movement of my eye, and I want you to pause for a second and really think about what that means. Any movement of your eye causes pain. That means even the tiny subtle eye motions that I'm doing right now, or I've come a long way in my recovery, but there are things I don't like to do. Like, I am not going to move my eyes back and forth. And if you actually see me do it in life, it's an accident, because I had to learn to train myself when I want to look at something different, to move my whole head. to help spare myself pain. And it's gotten a little less over time, but like right now, a little tired, the eye's really achy. And if you had asked me at that point if I would be painting things like this and drawing things like that, I probably would have cried in grief at the idea that that was even going to be a possibility someday. And at the same time, I also would have cried because, well, when I was in pain all the time, so I was crying a lot, but I also would have cried at the idea, well, what if I am recovered enough and I can draw and paint, and then I lose the eye? And then I have to figure out how to do everything with just the sight in one eye. And with type 1 diabetes always being a thing, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So what really, really helped me was imagining the worst possible outcome, an outcome in which I was totally blind. And then to imagine the best possible outcome in which I get to be an artist, I get to draw and paint, and I get to read, because reading's fun. It's fuels my creative well, in so many good ways. It is a joy to me to paint, and ironically, and I think this is actually the true sense of irony, the injury left me so... most people can't tell how bad the injury is unless they knew me before. And even the people who knew me before often forget. But things like it's easier for me to look straight ahead and have a thing like this where I'm talking to you here. But talking to two people at once, where I have to look in two different directions and kind of naturally move, that is really hard for me to do. If you see that, you happen to see me in person, you might notice that I only look at one person at a time, and I do move my whole head, but I will even tend to move my whole body because it reminds me to not try to look back and forth, because our instinct is to try to look back and forth. So I'm bringing this up because I know that there are so many people, probably including you, that are facing incredibly terrifying things. And maybe you too are imagining the worst possible scenario. Maybe you're imagining the best possible scenario. Or maybe you are so stuck in the grief, in the pain, in the despair, in all of the things that feel like they're spiraling out of control, and sometimes they really are, that it's hard to imagine something different. So for me, what helped, once I was able to imagine both the worst and the best possible outcome, was to say, what can I do now, today, this moment? I chose to focus not on what I could not do anymore, and instead chose to focus on what I could. Because the could nots, those are really, really, honestly, they're not a helpful place to dwell. Our mind naturally goes there, of course. I mean, we're human. Mine went there constantly. But I consciously chose, every time my little brain was going, oh my God, I can't. I chose to say, what can I do? What is still possible? And at first, I mean, I think things like going to the grocery store, still to this day, it takes so many adaptive measures for me to navigate a grocery store, especially one I haven't been to before. It is often so difficult, I don't normally do it. But when I have to do something like going to a grocery store that I have never been to, that is totally different, I focus on one thing at a time. And often in my, literally, because I can't. The grocery store aisles are overwhelming. The lights really, really hurt because of the way they kind of yank your eye all over the place with all those brightly colored boxes and vegetables. And so I have to navigate things like a grocery store by saying, okay, I can park. And I usually drive. So I know that it is best for my eye, for my overall health, for me to find a parking spot that is a pull through and that has an easy way out. And that means that I walk a lot. For me, that's okay because I try to build in as much natural exercise as I can, and walking is good for us. So I do that. I park. I start heading towards the store. I allow seeing other people going in and out a certain door to guide me to where I'm supposed to go, because sometimes even looking for new doors could be hard. Then I go in the store and I have an idea of what I want. Usually carrots for a certain someone of a horsey slant. And so I look at one thing at a time and I ask what are carrots normally next to. I am the person in the store who asks the lovely workers where things are, because it saves me a lot of pain in actually looking. And sometimes they're like, it's right behind you. And I have to say, okay, thank you, because I mean it. I really am grateful, because I didn't have to look over 75% of the store to find that thing. I have chosen to say, okay, I'm getting these carrots. Is there anything else? Well, somebody likes apples too. I know, and I should probably have kale because it's good for my eyeballs. Between the carrots, the apples, and the kale, Mac and I are all set. He does not like kale. So I get the couple of things. Then I have to navigate the checkout. And often checkouts are a little bit hard, because you naturally want to look for where's the shortest line, where's this, where's that. I have to set my body up so that I am looking at one thing at one time, slowly rotating. If I have to find, you kind of like looking down the things, looking down the checkouts. And then I have to just pick one. If I, kind of give it I gotta do this fast, I can't. That's another thing I have accepted. I may not be able to go fast, but I can go slow, and that's okay. We all have things to do. We're all rushing around, but one of the things I have learned with all my chronic illness dragons is often it is better for me in the long run and short run to take my time. I feel better. I have more energy. My eye doesn't get as weary or as tired. And I can do things like checking out of the grocery store. And then I do my best to remember where my vehicle is located, as we all try to do. But I know that I have to be conscious of how many places I'm looking. And then I can get in the car, and I really have to listen to the navigation and really focus on looking straight ahead, and really letting my mirrors help me work and help me drive, and really focusing on what I'm doing. And and I have accepted that, yes, something like going to a grocery store to get something as simple as carrots, it actually does wear me out a little bit. Sometimes a lot. And that's okay. And learning to accept that that is okay is one of the greatest gifts that I have given myself. Because I have allowed myself to imagine a world in which it is okay, even desirable, for me to take my time. It's a thing. And when I know all the layout of the whole store, I'm a whiz. I can whiz right through things because I know where everything is. It spares me so much looking around. It's great. Makes the driving easier. The whole thing is easier. Still tiring, but I can do it. And then when I take that and I apply that to everything that I currently do now, I do what I do now. Interestingly, and this is where the irony comes in, until the eye injury, and I will talk more about this in other videos, but until the eye injury happened, I did not actually appreciate my art. Not the way I do today. I didn't appreciate my skills. I didn't appreciate what comes so naturally and joyfully and happily to me. The injury, and I can say it's been, at this point when this video is being recorded, it's been just over 7 years. And it is maybe 8 years. Yeah, it's been just over 8 years. Oh my goodness. It took a long time to get to this point. And if you are dealing with something like this or anything at all, and things take time, and it's okay. And it might not feel okay, but it is. If you are still here and you are still breathing, still breathing, there is hope. There is time. We've got this. Because while we are still breathing, we have room to imagine. We have room to imagine what life can be if we allow ourselves to do what we can still do. So I might not be able to talk comfortably in crowds ever again. But what I can do, what I still can do, is stare straight ahead and paint and draw and draw and paint and paint and paint. Paint the one behind me. I can paint, which is an enormous gift. And if the worst that could possibly happen happens in the context of my eyes, where I lose my vision, I can still tell stories. I could still create. I can still speak. And I might try my hand at sculpting. We don't know. But I know that I will choose to focus on what can I still do despite all of the things I can't. It can take a lot of imagination to do that. You don't have to have an imagination that spins galaxies out of a palette, that sees the true nature of ourselves. I'll talk about these portraits at some point, but they have to do with our true natures. You don't have to have an imagination that does that. You can have an imagination that goes wild and crazy on math or biology and all the possibilities that lie beneath a microscope. You can have an imagination that is activated by climbing a specific route, by the art of using your body. Your imagination can be based on anything. But I ask you to allow your imagination to flow with what you can do right now, in this moment, And even if the answer is all I can really do right now is take a nap, honor your body. Your body is telling you something. Your body is telling you that rest will help. And we'll talk about rest later on. But honor your body and what you can do. Again, even if it's just a nap, honor that. Napping is amazing. So, all right. Please sign up for my newsletters at radianceandgrit.com. We talk about this stuff. And I've got a lot of really good things coming. And the best way to know about that is to sign up for my Art and Soul letters. So, all right, fare thee well. Please share this video. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.